Chosen one. You did not arrive at this moment by curiosity, chance, or coincidence. You were drawn here by alignment, by a precise orchestration in the unseen, timed by heaven itself. This message found you because your spirit was ready to recognize it. What you are sensing right now is not emotion, it is confirmation. Chosen one, you are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift. A threshold where what you have carried alone is no longer meant to be carried by you alone. Heaven is not only preparing provision, it is preparing participation. And the truth being revealed now is this: there is a person connected to your next level, and their arrival is not random. They are part of your wealth transfer. Anointed one, for a long time you were trained to endure, to build quietly, to carry weight in isolation. That season shaped you, but it did not define your destination. What is opening before you now requires expansion, alignment, and divine cooperation. Wealth in this phase does not come through effort alone, it flows through connection, assignment, and trust released by heaven. Chosen one, this is not about using people, it is about heaven assigning people. Someone is being positioned to help carry what is about to multiply. And as you listen, your spirit will recognize who or prepare you to receive them. Stay open, stay reverent. Something has already been set in motion. Chosen one. There is a truth you must be willing to receive at this level, and it may confront the way you have understood strength, independence, and faith up until now. For much of your life, you were trained to survive alone. You learned to carry responsibility early. You became the one who fixed things, who endured silently, who did not rely too heavily on anyone because disappointment taught you caution. That was not an accident. That season trained your discernment, sharpened your resilience, and anchored your character. But it also created a pattern where you learned to do everything yourself, even when heaven never intended for you to remain isolated at this stage. There is a shift happening now, and it is subtle but undeniable. Heaven is no longer testing whether you can carry weight alone. Heaven is testing whether you can receive help without guilt, control, or fear. The wealth transfer approaching your life is not only financial, it is structural, it is relational, it is about expansion. And expansion by its very nature requires more than one set of hands. Anointed one, there is a person connected to your next level. Not a random connection, not a coincidence. This is not about networking or chance encounters. This is about divine assignment. Just as provision was released to Elijah through the hands of a widow, and just as Joseph's elevation was tied to the right people remembering him at the appointed time, your increase is tied to alignment with a person who carries a piece of what you are praying for. This person does not replace you. They do not overshadow you. They come to multiply what you have already built in secret. I say this from lived experience. There was a time when I believed that trusting God meant carrying everything myself. I thought surrender looked like endurance. I thought faith meant pushing through exhaustion without complaint. And for a season that mindset worked. Things moved, progress happened, but growth plateaued. Not because heaven withdrew favor, but because I had unknowingly become the ceiling. I was praying for overflow while gripping control. I was asking for expansion while refusing support. And heaven in its mercy slowed things down until I was willing to see the pattern. Chosen one. This is where many anointed people get stuck. Not in disobedience, but in over-responsibility. You have been faithful, you have been diligent, you have been trustworthy with little. But now the call is different. The next phase does not reward isolation, it rewards alignment. Wealth at this level does not come by doing more, it comes by allowing more. This is why certain delays you experienced were not punishments, they were protections. Heaven was waiting for the right alignment to catch up with your readiness. You were prepared early, but the structure around you was not yet safe enough to hold what was coming, so God refined you while also preparing the environment. This is why you felt moments of frustration where things seemed close but not fully opening. That tension was not rejection, it was calibration. Anointed One, hear this clearly. The person connected to your wealth transfer is not arriving to take from you. They are arriving to stand with you. And that distinction matters because fear will try to distort this revelation. Fear will whisper that dependence equals weakness. Fear will remind you of past betrayals. Fear will tell you that trusting others is dangerous. But discernment, not fear, is what governs this season. You are not being asked to open yourself to everyone. You are being asked to recognize the one heaven has already marked. This person may not look how you expect. They may not arrive with dramatic announcements. Often heaven sends help quietly. Sometimes they come as a collaborator, sometimes as a guide, sometimes as someone who simply sees what you carry and knows how to support it. What matters is not their title, but their alignment. You will recognize them not by pressure, but by peace, not by flattery, but by clarity, not by urgency, but by timing. Chosen One, wealth transfer follows order. It follows trust. It follows obedience to shifts that do not always make logical sense. Scripture speaks often of appointed times, moments when suddenly doors open that could not be forced before. This is one of those moments. But sudden elevation still requires prepared posture. And posture in this season means humility, without shrinking, authority without control, and openness without naivety. There is something else you must understand. This person is not just for what you gain, they are also for what you release. Part of your assignment is no longer to carry everything, but to create space for others to function in their calling alongside you. When you do that, heaven responds. Resources move, ideas unlock, opportunities converge. What once required strain begins to flow. I have watched this happen in ordinary life, not just in spiritual moments. I have seen people who worked endlessly finally rest and watch momentum accelerate when they stopped micromanaging. I have seen projects stall for years suddenly break open when the right person joined the vision. I have seen provision come not through harder effort, but through shared responsibility. These are not business principles, they are spiritual laws at work in daily life. Anointed One. The reason this message carries urgency is because resistance will try to rise as soon as you recognize its truth. Old habits will fight to remain in control. Old wounds will try to close your heart. But heaven is clear. What is coming next cannot be carried the old way. You are being invited into a higher order of trust, not blind trust, God-directed trust. Do not rush this. Do not force it. Simply remain aware. Pray differently. Instead of asking for more strength, ask for clearer alignment. Instead of asking for more endurance, ask for divine partnership. Instead of asking how to do it all, ask who has already been assigned. Chosen One, this is not the end of your effort. It is the end of your isolation. And that distinction changes everything. Chosen One. There is a deeper layer to this revelation that must be handled with care because it touches the place where faith, fear, and control quietly wrestle inside you. When heaven begins to send people into your life as part of your wealth transfer, the first battle is rarely external. It happens within. It is the moment where you must decide whether you will trust divine timing more than your survival instincts. For a long time, your strength was built in environments where you had no choice but to rely on yourself. You learned early that if you didn't show up, nothing moved. If you didn't handle it, it fell apart. That taught you responsibility, but it also trained your nervous system to associate safety with control. And now heaven is asking you to loosen your grip, not because you are careless, but because you are ready. Anointed One, understand this clearly. Control is not the same as stewardship. Control is driven by fear of loss. Stewardship is guided by trust in order. In this season, God is not removing your authority. He is refining it. True authority does not micromanage outcomes. It sets vision, protects alignment, and allows others to function in their assignment without being diminished. This is why the person connected to your wealth transfer will test you in unexpected ways. Not because they are a threat, but because their presence disrupts the old pattern where everything depended on you. You may notice resistance rise when you are no longer the sole decision maker. You may feel uncomfortable when someone else handles what you once guarded closely. These feelings are not signs of danger. They are signals of transition. I remember a moment in my own journey when someone offered to help in an area I had always managed alone. On the surface, it looked like relief, but internally, it felt like exposure. Questions surfaced that I didn't know were still there. What if they fail? What if they do it differently? What if I lose relevance? What if my value decreases when I'm no longer needed in the same way? Those thoughts were not spiritual, they were human, and they revealed where my identity was still tied to overfunctioning. Chosen. One, heaven does not reduce you when it multiplies around you. It enlarges you. But enlargement requires a shift in identity. You are not valuable because you carry everything. You are valuable because you carry vision. You are not needed because you exhaust yourself. You are needed because you see what others cannot yet see. This is why wealth transfer is inseparable from maturity. Money, influence, and expansion expose insecurity faster than lack ever did. When you have nothing, control feels necessary. When you begin to receive more control, becomes the very thing that limits you. Scripture teaches that to whom much is given, much is required. That requirement is not more effort. It is deeper trust. Anointed One. The person entering your life in this season is not there to compete with you. They are not there to take your place. They are there because heaven never intended for you to reach this next dimension alone. Just as iron sharpens iron, alignment sharpens assignment. And when alignment is present, growth accelerates without striving. Pay attention to how this person shows up. They will not demand access. They will not force their way into your life. Divine connections do not push. They align. You will notice that conversations with them feel clarifying, not draining. You may find that ideas flow more easily when they are involved. You may sense peace where there was once pressure. These are confirmations, not coincidences. Chosen One. It is important to understand that wealth transfer often comes disguised as responsibility before it manifests as reward. You may be asked to share decision-making. You may be asked to release tasks you are good at but were never meant to own forever. You may be asked to trust processes instead of personal oversight. These are not losses, they are upgrades. There is also a warning here that must be spoken with love and firmness. Not everyone who wants access to you is assigned to you. Discernment does not disappear in this season. It becomes more refined. The difference is that discernment is no longer fueled by fear of being used, but by clarity of alignment. You are not closing yourself off. You are opening yourself wisely. This is where many miss their moment. They confuse caution with wisdom and isolation with holiness. They pray for multiplication while guarding everything tightly. But heaven does not override your posture. If you insist on doing everything alone, the transfer slows, not because God withholds, but because the structure is incomplete. Anointed One, structures matter in the spirit as much as they do in the natural. Joseph could interpret dreams long before he governed nations, but the authority to steward abundance came only when structure was in place. The storehouses mattered, the systems mattered, and the people mattered. Your life is no different. You are entering a phase where systems will replace strain, where relationships will replace overextension, where flow will replace force. This does not happen overnight, but it does happen suddenly once alignment locks in. That is the nature of divine timing. Long preparation, sudden release. There is something else unfolding that you may not have words for yet. As you release control, your prayer language will change. You will stop praying survival prayers and begin praying stewardship prayers. Instead of asking God to get you through, you will ask God to show you how to distribute what is coming. Instead of asking for personal breakthrough, you will ask for wisdom to manage shared increase. This shift may feel unfamiliar at first. It may even feel undeserved. But remember, humility does not mean shrinking back from responsibility. It means acknowledging that what is coming is bigger than you and therefore must move through more than you. Chosen One. The reason heaven is emphasizing people in this season is because your assignment is expanding beyond personal blessing. Your wealth transfer is not just about your comfort. It is about impact. It is about legacy. It is about creating space where others can thrive without losing yourself in the process. As you continue to listen, something in your spirit is already adjusting. Old tension is loosening. Old pressure is lifting. You may feel both excitement and apprehension at the same time. That is normal when you are crossing from one level of authority to another. Stay present. Stay prayerful. Stay open. This is not the season to retreat. It is the season to receive wisely. And heaven is watching how you respond, not to test you, but to partner with you. Chosen One. There is a sacred tension you must learn to live with in this season, because not every divine alignment arrives with instant clarity. Sometimes heaven sends a person before it sends full understanding. And if you are not careful, you may miss what God is doing simply because it does not arrive in the form you expected. Many believe that when a person is part of their wealth transfer, the connection will feel dramatic, obvious, or instantly rewarding. But more often than not, divine partnerships begin quietly. They may start with an ordinary conversation, an unexpected collaboration, or a moment where you feel seen in a way you haven't before. The danger is not that these moments are subtle. The danger is that subtlety can be mistaken for insignificance. Anointed One, do not despise what arrives without spectacle. Heaven often hides its greatest movements in simplicity. Scripture reminds us that the kingdom moves like seed planted in the ground, unseen at first, but carrying everything needed for harvest. The person connected to your wealth transfer may initially appear as support rather than solution, as alignment rather than advantage. But alignment always precedes acceleration. This is where patience becomes a spiritual discipline, not a delay. You are being asked to discern without rushing, to observe without suspicion, and to engage without surrendering your authority. Divine alignment does not require you to abandon wisdom. It invites you to apply it at a higher level. I have learned that the right people do not arrive to impress you. They arrive to complement you. They do not try to dominate the vision. They protect it. They do not compete for control. They contribute to clarity. And over time you will notice something unmistakable. When they are involved, things move with less resistance. Conversations that once felt heavy become lighter. Decisions that once felt complex become clearer. This is not emotional comfort. It is spiritual confirmation. Chosen One. Wealth transfer is not simply about increase. It is about flow, and flow requires compatibility. Just as rivers expand when tributaries join, your assignment expands when the right people connect to it. This is why heaven is so intentional about timing. Sending the wrong person too early can damage what is still forming. Sending the right person too late can delay what is ready to grow. But divine timing does not miss. There is also a humbling truth you must accept if you are to steward this season well. The person assigned to you may carry strengths you do not have. They may see blind spots you have ignored. They may challenge habits that once kept you safe, but now keep you small. This can feel uncomfortable, especially if your identity has been built around being the capable one. But discomfort is not a sign of misalignment. Often it is the sign that growth is occurring. Anointed one. This is where pride can quietly interfere if you are not vigilant. Pride does not always look like arrogance. Sometimes it looks like over-independence. Sometimes it looks like refusing help under the guise of responsibility. Sometimes it looks like saying, "I've got this," when heaven is saying, "You don't have to." I say this gently but firmly. You do not honor God by rejecting the help He sends. You do not prove faith by carrying what He has already provided assistance for. True humility recognizes when God answers prayers through people instead of miracles that fall from the sky. There was a season when I prayed intensely for breakthrough, clarity, and provision. I asked God to move circumstances, open doors, and release resources. What I did not expect was that the answer would come through a relationship that required vulnerability. I wanted divine intervention without exposure. I wanted growth without dependency. But that is not how kingdom advancement works. Chosen one heaven is relational by design. Father, Son, and Spirit move in perfect unity. Creation itself reflects interdependence. No part functions fully alone. So why would your assignment be any different? The idea that you must stand alone to be strong is not spiritual. It is a distortion born from survival, not truth. As you navigate this season, you will need to listen differently. Not every instruction will come in prayer. Some will come through conversation. Not every confirmation will come through signs. Some will come through consistent fruit. Pay attention to what grows when certain people are involved. Pay attention to what stabilizes. Pay attention to what multiplies without strain. Chosen one. There is a refining happening in your discernment. You are learning to separate familiarity from alignment. Just because someone has been with you for a long time does not mean they are meant to go where you are going. And just because someone is new does not mean they are a threat. Heaven is not sentimental, it is purposeful. This can be painful to accept, especially if you value loyalty deeply. But loyalty without alignment can become limitation. God does not remove people to punish you. He realigns relationships to protect what is ahead. And sometimes the person connected to your wealth transfer enters your life just as others quietly exit. This is not loss, it is transition. Anointed one, there will also be moments when fear tries to rush the process. You may feel pressure to lock things in quickly, to define roles immediately, to secure outcomes before trust has matured. Resist that urge. Divine partnerships are not built on urgency. They are built on discernment, patience, and shared values revealed over time. You are not behind. You are being precise. Heaven is more concerned with sustainability than speed. A rushed alignment can cost you more than a delayed one. Allow relationships to unfold. Allow trust to be tested gently. Allow fruit to speak before conclusions are drawn. There is something else happening beneath the surface that you may not have recognized yet. As you open yourself to partnership, God is healing places in you that learn to survive without support. He is restoring your capacity to trust without losing wisdom. He is teaching you that vulnerability is not weakness when it is guided by discernment. Chosen one. Wealth transfer requires an open heart, not a guarded fortress. Guarded hearts protect pain, but they also block flow. An open heart aligned with wisdom allows God to move resources, ideas, and people through you without obstruction. You may feel moments of grief as old versions of yourself fall away. The version that did everything alone. The version that equated exhaustion with worth. The version that believed rest had to be earned through suffering. Let that version go. It carried you as far as it could, but it cannot take you where you are going. As this part of the journey continues, remain anchored. Stay grounded in prayer. Stay honest with yourself. Stay open to correction without shame. Heaven is not rushing you, but it is inviting you forward. Chosen one, what you are stepping into is not just increase. It is a new way of being, a way that honors both your calling and your humanity, a way that allows you to carry more without breaking, a way that reflects the heart of God, who never intended for you to walk alone. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every anointed journey where heaven does not ask for more effort, but for a deeper surrender of control. This is that moment, and surrender here does not mean passivity, it means alignment. It means allowing God to reorder how increase comes into your life, even when that reordering challenges the way you have always survived. For many years, your prayer language may have sounded like perseverance. You asked for strength to endure. You asked for grace to keep going. You asked for wisdom to carry responsibility without breaking. Those prayers were heard, and they were answered. But the prayers that move heaven in this season are different. Now the questions are quieter and more refined. How do I steward what is coming? How do I build something that outlives my constant involvement? How do I create space where others can function without losing the vision? Anointed one. This is where wealth transfer becomes real, not symbolic. Because wealth at this level is not simply money changing hands. It is authority being shared. It is responsibility being distributed. It is trust being extended. And trust more than talent or strategy determines whether increase remains or collapses under its own weight. You may have noticed that situations are arising where you are no longer the only solution. Decisions are surfacing that require input beyond your perspective. Opportunities are opening that demand collaboration rather than individual brilliance. This is not heaven sidelining you, it is heaven expanding you. The question is not whether you are capable, the question is whether you are willing to evolve. I remember a season where I believed that if I loosened my grip, everything I had built would fall apart. I told myself that my vigilance was what kept things running. And to some extent, that was true. But what I did not realize was that my vigilance had slowly turned into limitation. Things moved, but they could not multiply. Progress existed, but expansion was stalled. And heaven, patient as it is, allowed me to reach the edge of my capacity before inviting me to step beyond it. Chosen one, your capacity has edges. That is not failure. That is design. God never intended for you to be the source. You were always meant to be the steward. And stewards understand that provision flows through systems, people, and shared responsibility. When everything flows only through you, it bottlenecks what God is trying to release. This is why some of your recent exhaustion was not a sign that you were doing too much wrong. It was a signal that you were doing too much alone. Heaven was not rebuking your work ethic. Heaven was highlighting the need for alignment. And alignment often begins by asking a difficult but liberating question. What am I holding on to that God is asking me to release? Anointed one, release does not mean abandonment. It means trust. It means believing that God can move through others as powerfully as He moves through you. It means acknowledging that the vision was never yours alone to carry, even if you were the first to receive it. There is a sacred humility required here, not the kind that shrinks back, but the kind that recognizes that shared authority does not diminish calling, it amplifies it. When Moses tried to carry the burden of leadership alone, wisdom came through counsel. When the early church grew beyond one voice, leadership multiplied. These patterns were not accidental, they were instructional, chosen one. Wealth transfer requires a shift from ownership to stewardship in your mindset. Ownership clings, stewardship flows. Ownership fears loss, stewardship trusts provision. Ownership asks, how do I protect what's mine? Stewardship asks, how do I manage what's been entrusted to me? You are being invited into stewardship. This invitation may feel unsettling at first. There is a vulnerability in allowing others to see the unfinished parts of your vision. There is risk in trusting people with responsibility. There is discomfort in watching someone else do something differently than you would have done it. But difference is not disobedience. Often it is innovation. Anointed one. The person connected to your wealth transfer is not meant to replicate you. They are meant to complement you. They bring something you do not have, and you bring something they do not have. Together, alignment creates multiplication. Alone, even excellence has limits. Pay attention to how God is rearranging your priorities. You may find that tasks you once obsessed over no longer carry the same weight. You may sense a pull toward vision, direction, and discernment rather than execution. This is not disengagement. This is elevation. Leaders at higher levels do less manual work, not because they are lazy, but because their focus must remain on direction, protection, and long-term growth. Chosen one, this shift will also test your trust in God's character. Can you believe that God cares about the outcome as much as you do? Can you believe that He will guard what you release? Can you believe that His wisdom operating through others will not undo what He built through you? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. There will be moments when you are tempted to step back in and take over, especially when things feel slower or messier than you would like. Resist that urge. Growth is rarely neat in the early stages. Allow people the grace to learn. Allow systems the time to stabilize. Allow yourself the freedom to step into a role that is less exhausting and more strategic. Anointed one. This is not about losing relevance. It is about gaining longevity. What you are building now is not meant to depend on your constant presence. It is meant to function because of your wisdom, your values, and your ability to empower others. That is how legacy is formed. Wealth transfer that lasts requires more than money. It requires culture, it requires shared vision, it requires people who are aligned not just with the goal, but with the heart behind it. This is why heaven is so intentional about who enters your life in this season. Alignment protects increase. As you sit with this truth, allow yourself to grieve what is ending. The season of doing everything alone is closing. The identity that equated worth with exhaustion is fading. The belief that rest must be earned through suffering is being dismantled. These shifts can feel like loss even when they are gifts. Chosen one, give yourself permission to step into a new way of operating, one that honors both your calling and your capacity, one that allows wealth to flow without crushing your spirit, one that reflects the nature of God who works through relationship order and shared purpose. You are not being replaced, you are being repositioned, and repositioning always precedes expansion. Chosen one, as this transition deepens, you may begin to notice a quiet separation happening within you. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is unmistakable. Certain desires are losing their grip. Certain fears no longer command the same authority. And certain relationships, patterns, and expectations are gently shifting out of place. This is not confusion. This is refinement. In every season of supernatural transfer, there is a moment where heaven clarifies what belongs with you and what cannot go where you are going. This is not about judgment, it is about weight. Not everyone is built to carry what you are about to steward, and not everything that once served you can sustain the next level of increase. Anointed One, you are being invited into a more discerning form of trust. Trust that does not rush intimacy. Trust that does not demand immediate proof. Trust that allows time to reveal fruit. This kind of trust is different from blind faith. It is faith partnered with wisdom. It is openness guided by discernment. It is surrender without naivety. You may feel moments where your spirit pulls back slightly, not in fear, but in awareness. This is because your sensitivity is sharpening. Heaven is training you to sense alignment beyond words, to notice consistency over charisma, to recognize integrity through action rather than promise. These are not skills you learn overnight. They are formed through experience, disappointment, and healing. Chosen One. There is a reason you could not fully access this level earlier. You had to learn boundaries before you could steward expansion. You had to learn discernment before you could manage influence. You had to learn when to say no before you could say yes without regret. What once felt like delay was preparation. The person connected to your wealth transfer will not pressure you to move faster than peace allows. They will not bypass process. They will respect timing. Divine alignment is patient. It does not force outcomes. It allows truth to unfold naturally. I have watched people sabotage divine connections because they were still chasing familiarity instead of alignment. Familiar voices feel safe even when they no longer stretch you. Familiar patterns feel comfortable even when they restrict growth. But comfort is not confirmation, and discomfort is not always danger. Anointed One, wealth transfer often requires you to release relationships that can no longer grow with you. This is one of the most painful aspects of elevation, not because those relationships were bad, but because they were seasonal. And seasons are not punishments, they are assignments with expiration dates. You are not called to drag people into places they are not prepared for. You are not responsible for convincing others to evolve with you. Your responsibility is obedience. Alignment will take care of the rest. As this happens, you may feel loneliness surface unexpectedly. Even when surrounded by people, there can be a sense of being misunderstood or unseen. This is common during transition. The old environment no longer fits, and the new one is still forming. Do not misinterpret this as abandonment. Heaven often creates space so that new alignment can enter without interference. Chosen One, use this space wisely. Do not fill it with noise. Do not rush to replace what is leaving. Allow God to do the pruning without interruption. Pruning is not removal for loss. It is removal for growth. This is also the season where your values are being tested not by temptation alone, but by opportunity. Doors may open that promise quick gain but compromise alignment. Offers may come that look beneficial but require you to shrink your integrity. These are not accidents, they are discernment tests. Anointed One, wealth that comes without alignment will eventually demand payment in peace. God is not interested in blessing you in ways that damage your soul. That is why some opportunities will be closed even when they look promising. Trust that what is meant for you will not require you to abandon who you are becoming. There is a quiet strength forming in you now, a steadiness that does not need validation, a confidence that does not need applause, a discernment that does not need explanation. This strength will serve you well when the transfer accelerates, because increased visibility often attracts mixed intentions. Chosen one. Not everyone who applauds you supports you. Not everyone who offers help is assigned to you. And not every open door is yours to walk through. But you are not alone in navigating this. The Spirit of God within you is sharpening your perception daily. Pay attention to how your body responds to certain interactions. Peace, tension, clarity, confusion. These are not random. They are signals. Learn to honor them without over-analyzing. Discernment does not need to justify itself. It simply recognizes. As your circle refines, you may also feel a growing responsibility toward those who align with your values and vision. This is where leadership begins to emerge naturally. Not because you sought power, but because people sense stability. They sense integrity. They sense direction. These qualities attract trust. Anointed One leadership at this level is not loud. It is consistent. It is patient. It is anchored. And it creates environments where others can thrive without manipulation or fear. This is part of your wealth transfer. Influence is currency in the kingdom. Do not underestimate the power of creating safe spaces where people can contribute without being consumed. Many have been burned by systems that extract without honoring. Your assignment includes modeling a different way, a way where growth does not require exploitation, a way where success does not come at the cost of conscience. This is why heaven is so invested in your inner alignment before releasing external increase. What you build now will be shaped by who you are becoming, and who you are becoming is someone capable of holding wealth, people, and responsibility without losing your soul. Chosen one. If at any point you feel the urge to go back to doing everything alone, pause. Ask yourself what fear is speaking. Fear of loss, fear of disappointment, fear of being misunderstood. Name it. Bring it into the light. Fear loses power when it is acknowledged. You are not going backward. You are recalibrating. You are not being slowed. You are being stabilized. Foundations are being reinforced so that when acceleration comes, it does not collapse under its own speed. As you continue walking, remain attentive, not anxious. Open, not exposed. Confident, not controlling. These balances matter now more than ever. Chosen one. What is being formed in this season is not just a structure for wealth, but a posture for longevity. And longevity requires wisdom, patience, and the courage to let go of what no longer aligns. You are not losing anything that was truly meant to stay. You are making room for what must arrive. Chosen one. As this season reaches its fullness, there is a settling that begins to take place within your spirit. It is not loud celebration. It is not frantic movement. It is a quiet knowing, a sense that something irreversible has shifted. You are no longer standing at the edge. You have stepped into a new posture of authority, one that does not need to announce itself to be real. What you are experiencing now is integration. The truths that once felt challenging are becoming natural. The surrender that once felt risky is beginning to feel relieving. The idea of not doing everything yourself no longer threatens your identity. Instead, it confirms it. You are no longer defining your worth by how much you carry, but by how well you steward. Anointed one. This is what maturity in the spirit looks like, not striving, not proving, but resting in alignment. Heaven does not rush this stage because what settles here determines how sustainable the increase will be. Wealth transfer that lasts is never built on adrenaline. It is built on order, clarity, and trust. You may notice that decisions now feel different. You are less reactive, less pressured. You no longer feel the need to immediately respond to every demand or opportunity. Discernment has slowed your pace in the best way. You are moving with intention rather than urgency. This is not hesitation. This is wisdom. Chosen one, when heaven entrusts greater influence, it also grants greater calm. Chaos is not a sign of calling. Peace is. Not the absence of challenge, but the presence of stability even when challenges arise. That stability is growing in you now. I want you to understand something very clearly. Wealth transfer does not always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with systems quietly clicking into place, with conversations that resolve what once felt complicated, with relationships that function without constant maintenance. These are signs of alignment, even if they do not look dramatic. There was a time when you prayed for breakthrough with desperation. You needed things to change quickly because survival depended on it. But this season is different. You are no longer praying from lack. You are praying from stewardship. The desperation has been replaced by responsibility, and responsibility is a sign that heaven trusts you. Anointed one, the person or people connected to your wealth transfer are now positioned whether you see them fully yet or not. Some are already walking with you, others are aligning behind the scenes. Heaven does not rush introductions, it prepares environments. And environments are being prepared now. You may begin to see that what once felt fragmented is becoming coherent. Vision, provision, people, and timing are starting to align. This does not mean there will be no challenges. It means challenges will no longer derail you. You have developed the inner structure required to respond without collapsing. Chosen one. This is where many misunderstand what blessing looks like. Blessing is not the absence of work. It is the absence of unnecessary struggle. You will still labor, but it will feel purposeful. You will still invest energy, but it will multiply rather than drain you. You will still make decisions, but they will be supported rather than resisted. This is the fruit of alignment. As you stand here, I want you to release one final misconception. You are not late. You are not behind. You did not miss your moment. Divine timing is not measured by comparison. It is measured by readiness. And you are ready now in ways you were not before. Anointed one, what you carry is not fragile. It has been tested, refined, strengthened. The reason heaven waited is because what is coming requires a vessel that can hold both abundance and humility, power and restraint, influence and compassion. Those qualities have been formed in you quietly, often through hardship you did not understand at the time. You may look back and realize that the most painful seasons were also the most formative. The isolation taught you discernment. The responsibility taught you leadership, the delays taught you patience, and the losses taught you wisdom. None of it was wasted. Chosen one. Now that alignment has been established, your role is not to chase outcomes. It is to remain faithful to posture, stay open, stay grounded, stay responsive to correction. Pride can creep in subtly at this stage, not as arrogance, but as self-reliance disguised as confidence. Guard against it gently. Remember that everything you steward flows from grace. There will be moments when the old instinct to overfunction tries to resurface. When pressure rises, you may feel tempted to revert to doing everything yourself. When uncertainty appears, you may feel tempted to tighten control. When growth accelerates, you may feel tempted to take on more than is wise. Pause in those moments. Breathe. Realign. Anointed one. You are not alone anymore, even when you are the one making final decisions. Support exists now in ways it did not before. Systems are forming, people are aligning, grace is multiplying. Trust what God has built. This is also the season to give thanks not just for what you see, but for what you sense. Gratitude anchors alignment. It keeps your heart soft and your perspective clear. Thank God not only for provision, but for wisdom. Not only for opportunity, but for restraint. Not only for increase, but for discernment. Chosen one. The wealth transfer unfolding in your life is not just about material gain. It is about becoming someone who can handle increase without losing intimacy with God, without losing compassion for others, without losing integrity when no one is watching. That is true success. As you move forward, let peace be your guide. Let alignment be your filter. Let wisdom be your anchor. You do not need to force what God has already arranged. You do not need to fear what heaven has prepared. You do not need to rush what is unfolding perfectly. Stand in confidence, walk in humility, lead with clarity, receive with gratitude. Chosen one. What you are stepping into now is sustainable blessing, and it has been waiting for you to become ready to receive it this way. Chosen one, receive this moment in stillness and reverence. What has been spoken over you is not symbolic, and it is not delayed. A supernatural transfer is already in motion, unfolding with precision beyond what the natural eye can see. You are not waiting for alignment, you are standing in it. This is your Kairos moment, your divinely appointed time, and heaven is bearing witness to your obedience, your humility, and your readiness. Anointed one, may peace settle deeply within you as confirmation. May clarity replace striving. May trust rise where control once lived. The flow that has been prepared for you will not miss its mark, and the people assigned to walk with you will arrive in perfect order at the exact moment they are needed. Nothing is late, nothing is lost, nothing is withheld. I speak blessing over your discernment, that you would recognize divine alignment without fear. I speak blessing over your heart, that it would remain soft, open, and anchored in gratitude. I speak blessing over your hands, that everything you touch from this moment forward would carry favor, wisdom, and increase. Chosen one, walk forward without urgency, but with faith. Stay aligned, stay faithful, stay grateful. What is about to manifest will speak for itself. If this word resonated with your spirit, you may quietly acknowledge it, a comment, a shared moment, or a simple act of gratitude. And if you feel led, remain connected. There is more unfolding. Go in peace. Heaven is with you.